And you
You
mentioned,
know,
so you had a sort of a family relation. You were sort of friends with Nadia Gamal through
yes.
the.
Well, my husband, she was my husband's, married to my husband's
Yes.
cousin. And when they were kids, she used to go to his grandmother's every Sunday for dinner, you know. So
Ah,
I got all the stories of that and being married to Shafiq, and we talk to Shafiq periodically, so we still keep in touch with him, even though we've been far away for so long. But Amani, oh, and there's another dancer. I have another one. Her name is Margot Kalfayan, and she's Lebanese. Now, she's Waleed's cousin, first cousin. This one gives you chills, even in her street clothes.
ah,
This woman is so amazing, and she won't come to America, and I could shoot her for that.
yes.
But they're the ones that I consider the top throughout the world. Um, Najwa Fawad was great. You know, there's other people that I liked, and I'm glad I've seen them, but they're the ones that absolutely take the cake.
Awesome. And I believe you said you had some chance to also spend time with Amani. So what kind of relationship you had? I know you met her in person, you traveled there.
It's funny. I just answered an email from her today because she's coming to this country in
Yes.
April of May of next year. But it just so happens I'm going to be in Palm Springs teaching the same weekend, and I can't. I committed to that 2 days before I knew she was coming. So I'm trying to find out where else she's going to be, etc. But yeah, I love Amani. Amani, I didn't realize when she asked me to teach in Lebanon had been following me for 2 years, and I had no idea of that till she told me when I was there. And then she asked me if I would teach. So yes, of course I said yes. It was a wonderful chance, and it got Waleed a chance to go back to Lebanon and see family and everything. So it was a wonderful trip. While we were there, of course, I spent a week with her in Beirut. She was the most gracious hostess, a lovely, lovely person, not an ounce of fakeness about her. She's just wonderful. And the Friday before we went to the mountains, we went to her house, and I interviewed her, and we talked, and I really appreciate this woman and think she's wonderful. And she's a very dear friend at this point, and I'm very thankful for that. I add her to my list of other people I'm so thankful to know. Yeah, like Helena and Dolores, they're all very special people. Dahlia.
Yes. Morwenna, this is such an interesting conversation. So, as somebody who dedicated her whole life to Middle Eastern dance, as an Oriental dancer, as a teacher, what would be your advice for somebody who wants to dedicate professionally to Middle Eastern dance? Let's say initially performing, and then you can also talk about teaching. What would be your best advice?
I think every dancer needs to study the dance. They need to know the culture, the background, everything there is to know about it. I say everything. You will never know everything.
Yes.
I'm still learning day by day. But you have to find a teacher who knows the background of the dance, who is good at it, not necessarily a good performer, but is good at teaching it and sharing what she knows. There's nothing wrong with going from one teacher to another. Once you've learned all you can from this person, don't just stop there. Keep going. I do get a little irritated with people who take a workshop and think they've studied with somebody. Studying a workshop is just an opening. It's showing you what can be there. If you like what this person has to offer, then you find out where they are and maybe you study with them. I know people who run back and forth to Egypt all the time, and they don't really come back with anything. They're there for a week. They take from 10 people. They come back. They think they know everything. And what have they really absorbed? It's a lifelong study.
Yes.
And be open so that as your performing days end, you have something else to go into.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're like a cheerleader. You know, high school days are over. You're done. You don't want that. You want, if you really love this dance, you want to stay in it forever. And I think I've evolved now maybe 4 times. This is my last evolving year. This is actually the last shot I will have. And this one I will stay until the day I die. Because I've done the performing, I've done all the weekly teaching, I've done all of that. I've taught workshops. I never wanted to be on a workshop circuit because that's easy teaching. You come in, you teach, you give them the information, and you hope they get something. But when you're teaching weekly, and on weekly classes, you have a commitment to those people, and you better take them from A to Z or ever far you can. It can't just be regurgitating the same old things over and over again.
Yes.
I think teachers need to learn how to teach. And I usually recommend to a girl who wants to start teaching, before I even give them any instruction myself, go take a ballet class and see how a dance class is set up. Yes. Do that first. It's not just follow the bouncing butt. And that, and it's the same with performing. If you want to know how to perform, watch performers day in, day out. YouTube it. Be in the clubs. You still have clubs in Boston where dancers are there all the time. Most of the country doesn't have that anymore. Yeah. And I feel that's a real shame because those dancers can't go and listen to the music and listen to the musicians and see somebody dance and see what they do wrong and see what they do right and learn from it. We had that, and that was a wonderful experience. I mean, I would every opportunity. Friday, Saturday, you could find me usually at the Continental in a Sonnet because the musicians were there. There was always dancers. Even if I wasn't performing there, I would be there somehow. Even if I was performing elsewhere, I'd break my neck to get home, to get to that restaurant, so I could at least be there for an hour or so. And I think we need more of that. So you guys in Boston and Rhode Island, you have it made today because it's not like that in the rest of the country.
Yeah. I think they're more lucky in Rhode Island these days. A lot of places in Boston not lasting, or the bands, like they're sometimes like a one-piece band. So we're not getting so lucky in Boston, exactly Boston. In Rhode Island, I think they have more chances.
Rhode Island is good. Yeah, like, I don't know if you know Bashir El-Khoury, the keyboard player. Bashir, he plays in Rhode Island. He lives in Mass. He plays mostly in Rhode Island, but some in Massachusetts. He's working every weekend.
Yes.
He's our nephew. I'm amazed. And when he comes home, he says, I can't believe it. There's the one on one side of the street and one on the other.
So we are talking about the live music, how important the live music is. And what I was talking a little bit off camera with Morwenna before about how things have changed a little bit, and we wish really we were lucky to have all the wonderful musicians we have in the area more often. In Boston, I think in Rhode Island, I see weekly shows when some of our great musicians, like Mitch Calzunas all the time, which is great. But in Boston area, it's a bit hard. I think business sometimes is hard to keep, and affording the band and the entertainment is probably an issue. But I think Morwenna I would like you to tell us more about, the live music and your love for the live musicians.
Well, I think you still have good musicians in
we
Boston.
We do.
Mitchell's playing all the time. George Malou is singing all the time. So you've got good people. When I came back a few years ago, 2009, I believe it was, they all came down to Rhode Island to play. I was working with Tanina. And it was just such a thrill to be with the same musicians that I worked with back in my day. And they're still as good as they were. And, back in the 80s and possibly into the 90s, I'm trying to remember, they were the key musicians in the country. They were
No
doubt.
No doubt.
Boston had music to die for. Then, when I moved to California, because you don't appreciate them when you have them. You take it for granted. But then when I went to California and realized there was nobody at all, it broke my heart to think I left Boston and left all that behind.
Yes.
There was nothing like went on in Boston at all. And I do think you have to be involved in the Lebanese community in Boston to be part of the Huffley scene and all of that. But that doesn't even happen elsewhere. The dancers aren't included in the Lebanese scene in San Diego. They're just the belly dancers. They're not brought into it at all, and that's tough.
Yes.
And your pay scale is still higher in Boston and Rhode Island than it is most places. San Diego, I think, is the lowest in the country. It's really bad down there, and they just fought to get a $5 raise. I mean, that was quite an experience. I was in the meeting involved in that, and when they started fighting over $5 and how a club owner wasn't going to give them a $5 raise, I thought, I'm in the wrong place. And we would bring in, I don't know if you've ever heard of Saadi El Saadi. He lives in Mexico City. He's Lebanese. His music is absolutely wonderful. And he moved to Mexico City because there was nobody there. And he set everything up and revived the club there that the dancers used to dance in the 80s and 90s. Got it back. It's flourishing now. He's playing continuously with his band. And now I'm in Knoxville, and there are no bands. It's like, how do these people survive and keep their interest in the dance if you don't have live music?
Yes.
That, to me, was the epitome of performing. I mean, I'm not talking theater things or anything like that. That's another whole subject.
Yes.
But in the clubs, was working with musicians and that's a high all in itself. You don't need anything else. They were wonderful.
Yes.
And those guys are still there. I see Joey Kalungian still playing, Freddie
Yes.
Elias is still playing.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes, we do have a great deal of wonderful musicians. We are very lucky. Yeah, I just wish we could see them in Boston area, Boston, Central Boston, more often than they
now,
we
is
do.
There still stuff going on at the Middle East restaurant?
The Middle East restaurant actually right now only has a live band event thanks to Sabbath. Right now it's once every 2 months, only once.
Oh.
When I started, it used to be every Wednesday.
The music is not appreciated like it used to be. That's why I've always felt I'm so lucky to have Waleed. We together, and not because I was with him or because we both had something to offer to the audience that we would. So we do Zephyrs for weddings, and in San Diego they think that they're doing the Zephyr. They have no idea what it really consists of, and so bring Lebanon into San Diego. That was the one thing Lebanon I had to research, because I knew about Egyptian Zephyrs weddings, and I didn't really know what Lebanese do for Zephyrs. I thought I didn't really know. And we made friends with a guy who used to be a drummer for Margot Kalfayan. He became our text in Lebanon. He took us everywhere. He was wonderful. And he took us to a wedding, and I videoed the whole wedding. And it was the most amazing experience, because it is different than the Egyptian. And so I make sure that when we do Zephyrs that we bring that Lebanese influence.
Wonderful. I think it would be.
Where there's a difference between Lebanese and Egyptian.
I was just thinking that I hope it will remind myself when you teach in Boston. So it's going to be really great chance for everybody to not miss this. When she's gonna come and spend 2 hours telling, Lebanese Oriental, and I think I'm gonna try to remember, or please everybody, to ask her if she could tell us the difference between the zifa in Egyptian. A big Lebanese community here. So I presume, you know, many of the scene here is all Lebanese people doing their Lebanese functions and clubs and weddings. So right. I would say that still working in those events, like would definitely be interested in all you have to teach us about what Lebanese people and style of dance, and for example how they do a zifa differently. So we are looking forward. So everybody, thank you so much, Morwenna. And
we had such difficulties getting online.
Oh no, but we did it. Sorry about this. We had some technical issues, so we had to do the sound through the phone. But I want to remind everybody is going to be Morwenna teaching us in exactly, but it's pretty much Boston area. It's going to be the 22nd of November, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and she's going to teach with Walid, with her. He's going to be drumming live for the class. So we have two top of the persons here teaching us with a lifetime experience. So I hope you will know. I will put the link so you can register. And thank you so much,